Thank you, Philip, and good Saturday morning, and welcome to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter, the show that's talking about all the great things happening in our community and the people that are making them happen. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. We have a great show for you this morning. My special guests are two of my favorite people, Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook from our Economic Development team. Melinda's the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Cookeville, and Stephen is the Vice President for Economic Development at our Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, both of you guys, and thank you for being here.
Hey, good morning. We're happy to be here.
Absolutely.
We've got a great economic development team in Putnam County, and I sing your praises all the time. And I want our listeners this morning to get a good understanding about all the work that's involved in bringing all these new businesses to our county. I know it seems when we're making these announcements and it just looks like it's so easy,
Right.
and it's really not, and there's a lot of hard work goes on in the background. But before we get dived into that, I want to start and let each one of you give us a little bit of history of where you came from, how you got here, and those kind of things. So Melinda, you want to go first?
Well, sure. Often I say my title at the city is kind of that typical chief bottle washer and cat herder. Or, as Mr. Shipley liked to say, and other duties as assigned. So that seems to kind of be the story of my life. I'm a TTU grad and cut my teeth in retail and fashion merchandising. And we had an opportunity to move back home to Cookeville. My husband to work with W&O Construction, my husband Randy. And I started back in retail, had the whole opportunity. And then I got a phone call from City Hall one day. With a couple of my mentors, had called to see if I'd be interested in applying for a new position for a new organization called
Cityscape. Yes.
Yeah. So did 11 years of downtown development, learned so much, and just a big advocate for the core of any community's economy. That central section, central business district, has to lead the way.
Yes.
I guess so much so that I was a thorn in enough people's side at the state that at one point, finally, Assistant Commissioner during the Bredesen administration called and asked me if I'd be willing to take on the whole state for Tennessee Main Street and really start to pull that network together. So I did that, had the blessing to be in state government during that time. I laugh and say I'm not a good Republican, I'm not a good Democrat. I just want to do good work. Yeah. And so had a really good opportunity, traveled the whole state, doing community development, Tennessee Main Street program, retired Tennessee, had 12 staff in the field, and really taught me a lot. And so then I got a call from City Hall that a new position was coming open there in economic and community development. And I didn't realize how tired I was, Randy Porter, till I got off the road from traveling the state of Tennessee. And while it was a blessing, I was happy to sleep in my own bed every night and really, really take what I had learned and apply it to my community.
Right. Give back to your community.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the career path. I come from a long line of servant hearts.
You do.
And
your dad was well known for many years.
My dad served this community well.
He did.
I'm not just saying that because I'm partial, but because I can see the outcomes. Tony Stone, my father, was mayor for 3 years, back on his 3-year term. And so, yeah, my mother was a teacher at Northeast, and so I learned a lot from them to be able to build a good team. Daddy was coach first.
Yes.
So, and then make sure you got the right people in the right seat. And Mama was really good at making sure those students stayed in that seat. So those are the two things I think I got from them.
Great parents, and they instilled that team mentality into you. And we're going to talk about that today on the show, too.
Because that's the key to our success,
that is
Mrs.
the key.
Porter. That is our key.
Stephen, what about you? Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, well, much similar story. Cookeville native, Tennessee Tech graduate, went to, of course, Cookeville High School. Found myself as a political science grad heading in a totally different direction than I've come into today, mostly towards the legislative affairs side of things. Found my way back to Cookeville, moving back home, and was able to receive a call from George Halford of the Chamber and Lynn to ask if I wanted to join the economic development team. First asked, what's economic development? As most people in this profession, we kind of get called into it from outside resources. And I was fortunate enough during my college years to work at the Leslie Town Center and move all the tables and chairs and answer all the calls and clean up all the spills
You
and
had a
everything like that.
history there, didn't you?
Absolutely. So that's how they knew me from back then. And was once I got the call, I joined the team. The position was created out of incredible success for our organization, and that's Lillian Hartgrove, my predecessor, had really built something that was supposed to be kind of a side hustle for the organization and turned into really the featured staple, and that's our Workforce Development and Education Initiative. She was doing workforce development, healthcare initiatives, economic development, all rolled into one, and as our workforce team grew to be what we believe is the best in the state and one of the best in the nation, it really took up all of her time. So as such, a new position was created and stepped into a really great team and have been fortunate enough to learn and grow within the position. And I think that as it stands right now, we've all grown together and gotten to the point where I'd put our team up against any of our counterparts across the state of Tennessee and really in the Southeast.
I would too.
Absolutely.
I would as well.
Great team, and both y'all are a great part of it. We're talking to Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook this morning on economic development. I want us to go back 2014, the day after our election in August. I'm standing in Dogwood Park with a bunch of newly elected officials, existing officials. You're on the stage announcing a project that its name had been kept secret for many months, Project Victor.
Correct.
Take us from there and walk us through that project.
You know, from that day going forward, it was nothing but paved with gold. But the 9 months previous to that were probably some of the most stressful, exciting, and teaching that I have had in my entire professional career.
Huge project. Academy Sports is what we're talking
Yes,
about.
sir.
Project Victor was what it was called for many years. You kept it secret for all those months. Was that difficult?
It was difficult because of the way our community interacts, and I'm sure the communities do too. But there was a sense that everybody knew who it was.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
you heard
would
everything.
Hear, oh my goodness.
Rumors were going
You would
crazy.
hear everything. But the consultant who drove the project was adamant. I don't know that they flew in here twice, held private meetings with key leadership in town, bankers, chamber board directors, and said, if you in any way blow this project in the press, we're walking.
Going somewhere else.
We are going somewhere else. And so to that end, looking back and being able to have those conversations today, they're still a privately held company, but competition drives the day.
Absolutely.
They did not want anybody in their industry to know their next move, and that their next move was setting them on a growth trajectory up into the Ohio Valley and Northeast. So here we sit with a 1.6 million square foot facility, still the largest distribution center in the state of Tennessee, with a company who not only was committed to Cookeville, but committed to the citizens of Cookeville, and is doing a 15% give back on their incentive package that they secured. They said, you know what, we got kids in school.
We will make sure we get back
We
to the
want to make
community.
sure we're part of it. And so, great project.
Absolutely.
And, one that actually kind of put us on the map for next steps.
It did, but we got lots more to talk about. There's several more. You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. My guests this morning are Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook, our economic development team. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. The show that's talking about all the great things happening in our community, and this morning we're talking with our economic development team, Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook, about all the great things that we've had happen and successes and expansions and bringing new businesses here to our community. We were just talking about Academy. That was really the first big one. Next comes TTI Flooring. Stephen, I think that was your first.
Yeah, that was the first one from beginning to end that I operated on. While we were working on Project Victor, as it was known, There were a total of 4 active projects at the time, 2 expansion and 2 new recruits. We announced TTI Floor Care, 4 months after Academy?
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't realize about existing industry expansions is they are just as competitive as a new project.
If not more so.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Especially if there's an upstream ownership group that's not local. So a lot of people in the community know about the facility where TTI Floor Care is now. We've known it as Oric, we've known it as TRW, we've known it as a lot of different things. All we've known is our friends and family get to go to work there. Well, this project in 2013, Oric Manufacturing and the vacuum company filed for Chapter 11, and so all of a sudden everybody starts freaking out because a Chinese company had purchased Oric Manufacturing, known as Royal Manufacturing Group or TTI Floor Care. Well, we assumed that with a Chinese ownership group that we'd go ahead and start getting ready to market the building. The facility's going to be closed down.
We thought they were leaving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we did. We all did.
Well, throughout this process of marketing and convincing them that the labor force was here, that the market could grow and thrive, and in seeing the quality of the workforce itself and the product being produced there at that facility, we were not only able to convince them to stay, but to grow. And so, as such, TTI committed to 211 new jobs in early 2014. And are still seeking to grow. So there's opportunity still, and so we're really excited when we get to announce the new projects, the ones with a new company coming into town, and find out a little bit about this group. But we also love the opportunities to work with those existing firms that need the same level of support and then some, and helping to convince them to grow. Because usually those jobs happen immediately. The facility improvements or expansions are a lot less intensive than the ones that are new construction. You already know most of the leadership team, and if you can work with those existing businesses to find ways to help them expand, then it can impact the economy just as much as those new ones.
We love to see our local businesses
Oh my
expanding.
gosh, yeah. They're probably more exciting to me in a lot of ways.
Than bringing sometimes the
it's
new
very
ones.
cool.
So Academy Sports, about 700 new jobs. TTI Floor, a couple hundred. Then comes Ficosa, first company in our business park, about 900 new jobs. That's almost 2,000 new jobs in just 3 companies. We're on cloud 9.
We truly are.
We were. I mean, we
and
really
rightly
were.
so, Randy. I mean, honestly, we'd been sleepy. People forget we had not had any commercial development or major industrial development in double-digit years in Putnam County,
which is
except for
crazy.
them to leave.
Right.
And we felt a lot of that. So we had a little bit of pent-up demand that
So
was well-deserved.
we're celebrating. We think, how can it get any better?
Right.
Let me read this list, and if I leave something out, make sure you correct me. Automation Tool, 110 new jobs with a new expansion. Colorovia, a new international company coming to our business park, 30 new jobs. Digital Dream Forge, moving here from Arizona, 90 new jobs. Daco Transtar, a big expansion, 175 new jobs.
Yes, sir.
Afina Pharma, 150 new jobs with an expansion. SAIC, 300 new jobs coming here, moving into the Regions Bank building, defense contractor with high-paying jobs.
Yes.
Could you ever have dreamed that we could
No.
get that much in such a short period of time?
Not at all.
No wonder we're kind of, a little bleary-eyed, Stephen. And when you read it like that, and each project takes such personal focus and attention, and critical focus to detail that's in your control.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of hard work.
It certainly is, but it's
Go
also
team, Putnam County.
it's exciting to see that list and to hear each of those companies and to see that each of them represent a different component within overall economy. We talk about a balanced scorecard and aiming at different targets than you were a year before.
Diversity.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what you seek for in an economy. There are some communities that their economic development apparatus is, we're going to really build this cluster, this vertical cluster where we're putting all our eggs in this
An
basket.
automotive or, right.
If there's a dip in that sector,
We lose big time.
Absolutely.
A Russell Stover's,
Exactly.
where you lose a lot of jobs. Let's kind of walk through the process a little bit. You do this on a day-to-day basis and it becomes secondhand, but to our listeners, they probably don't understand how the process works in the background. Kind of walk us through that. You get a RFI, request for information from the state, or a new business or someone calls or walks in. Kind of start that process, tell us how it goes.
Well, I'll start, and then Stephen and I can
Yeah,
each go through
y'all
our
take
steps,
it.
because here's the cool part about that. Traditionally, it came in through the state or TBA. Plain and simple. That was pretty much it. Or you got a call from a CEO of an existing business. Today, that is not necessarily the case. They might call the chamber. The state might send an RFI. They might call you, which has happened in the
Or
past.
walk in the office.
Or walk in the
unannounced.
office
Yeah.
with a map and say, here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But the way that our team handles any request is the Chamber of Commerce is the front door of this community in
Right.
every aspect. And that door gets opened right there.
Every
If
good
they-
team has to have
Absolutely.
a place that every inquisition or every question goes to make sure that everything
Right.
is
And
taken
that
care
all
of.
the information is centralized and that the team is on the exact same page. So to that end, Stephen receives that information, whether you and I are giving it to him or
Wherever
whether it's coming from the
from.
state or TBA.
Right. Stephen, what do you do with it? From
Well, then we do a deep analysis of the project itself, its pros and cons, its best situations. Now, to be honest with you, most of the time we don't have nearly as much information as we'd like. We get a project code name and an abstract description of their product and service, and we try to do some digging and find out exactly what they're going to do so that we can propose the best situation. And we're in a position now where we're turning away some leads. We'll see them come in from the state of Tennessee, and they'll tell us, you need your absolute best foot forward on this one. This is a great project for you. We'll get the information and say, we don't have the workforce for that. We're going to pass this time.
Or the building, or the
wages,
sign,
wages,
or
wages.
whatever it might be.
It's
So
not
we're looking
in
at
the
all
middle.
components
Right.
of every single project.
Right.
So once we find a project we really want to go after, and a site that will suit their listed requirements, then we'll start to put together a proposal. And we'll pull in whomever needs to be in that discussion. We'll pull in the state of Tennessee's research team, the university, the city, the county, utility departments. Everybody comes to the table to put together an initial pitch and hope that we get that short list. We're pretty good at this point of, if we really want to go after one, we usually get a call.
Right.
We get a visit. And that visit, that first impression, is where we can take ourselves as a community that on a desktop review might be a little bit of a challenge to consider to one of the finalist candidates. We truly believe that putting those prospects in the room with our team to describe everything great about our community that you might not realize just looking at the Census Bureau stats is really what gets us to short lists. So after we've given the pitch, we've gotten them into the room, then we try to identify what the deltas are. Where are our holes? Where are those
What are
potholes
the
that
key
can...
drivers?
Yes.
How can we hit that sweet spot? Every project and every proposal deal that's put together has a sweet spot, and we must hit it every time.
And that process can last for months.
Months, multiple visits.
I mean, I think of Ficosa, some of the other companies, a couple of years even,
sir.
that,
Yes, sir.
that can last. We're talking to Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook with our economic development team this morning. You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter, the show that's talking about all the great things happening in our community. My guests this morning are Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook from our economic development team, and we've been talking about the successes we've had with bringing new businesses and the expansion of our existing businesses here in Putnam County. Okay, we had all those announcements, all those new jobs. We really think everything's great. I mean, it just can't get any better. All of a sudden comes along this thing called Shops at Eagle Point, and suddenly it's raining manna from above.
Yes, sir.
$50 million retail project, about 28 new stores going here in the city of Cookville. I'm not sure we were ready for it, but we really wanted it, didn't we?
We did, and to be honest with you, we had to have it. Everybody knows that in order to be a successful community, you kind of have to be good at all of it.
Yes.
Just a little bit. Just like our industrial sector in manufacturing had lagged behind. We were way behind in retail.
Yes.
And like Stephen said, that desktop review of our community and the data in the raw does not always serve us well. So we had to learn to tell our story a little better.
People were driving to Mountain Juliet and other places
Yes.
to buy and shop, where they could be staying here.
Absolutely. And the goal is to provide goods and services and jobs for the citizens of Putnam County, to empty the park and ride, for you to be able to purchase everything you need right here, to fund our own schools, pick up our own trash when that dollar is spent locally.
In your history, both of you, since you've been working in economic development, do you know of any other project that you had the public excitement about more than Shops at Eagle Point?
No, we don't. And kudos to the developers. Every single thing we ask of them, they did. And they realized that it didn't need to have a code name. You know, we needed to talk about this. We all needed to embrace the concept. We all needed to get excited about it. And so it was a great partnership with that development team, with CBL and Mike McGuffin and Jeff Browning. And we've been blessed to have people that come to the table to partner with Cookeville, Putnam County, that want it to be a win-win. We don't do real well when there's a win-lose in there. We just don't. And so we walk away. We can't, you know. So, incredible project. Great story. We've been highlighted in the ICSC Southeast Regional kind of like anatomy of a deal. You know, how did you all pull that off?
You've even done some lectures on the state level.
We have. We've done some webinars. We did an anatomy of the deal on Academy as well.
Puts us in the spotlight. Puts Cookeville and Putnam County in the spotlight with these projects. Stephen, Shops at Eagle Point. It gets all done. We're opening stores. We're cutting ribbons. History, I think, with the number of ribbon cuttings that we had last year. All of a sudden, comes along this Project Sion.
AKA Project Venture.
Yes. Actually started with Venture, that's right.
A couple of years.
Looking at coming to Cookeville. As you know it now, it's Portobello, luxury tile company, $150 million project, 230 jobs roughly. First looked at being inside Cookeville.
Yes, sir.
You even went through the process of doing an annexation.
We did.
Piece of property.
We went through annexation and we went through rezoning for that particular piece of property, at the property owner's request.
Right.
And what would serve their property best in the long run. But it didn't hurt that there was a prospect looking at it as well. So.
We thought we had them.
Yes.
We thought we didn't have them. Backwards and forwards for several months. Then at the last minute, Stephen, we get a call and they want to go to Baxter.
And we have an announcement date.
Yeah.
You know? What?
Sometimes that's how it works. And that project's a good example of how far we've come as an economic development apparatus. With that project and Herman both, there was a consultant and in one instance an internal company representative that knew our community, thought it was underutilized as an industrial asset, and saw some opportunity for this company to make a new step. So with Portobello, we've seen some growth in the ceramic tile industry for several years, and we're really targeting that, but with the expectation that we were probably going to hit the machinery and equipment manufacturers that serve the industry, some of those real skilled positions in a different segment. Never in our wildest dreams would we have imagined we'd get that kind of a facility, that kind of an operation to invest in our community. So great project, and it was really telling during the announcement itself when the company leadership was here and gave just one of the most emotional speeches I've ever seen a company give at one of these events, and also to immediately follow it up as soon as the thing's over and start to ask, okay, so where's the director of schools? Where's the university? Where's the community college? How can I get plugged in to make sure that we're supporting this community? Because we want to be a staple. We want to be somebody that has a name that's well known, and we want to make an impact on our community.
That brings us to the team. That when we're working on that project on Portobello, first we think it's coming to Cookeville.
Yes, sir.
Suddenly it turns and it's going to Baxter. Melinda, you didn't stop.
No, sir.
you stayed on the team. It didn't make any difference. And I think that's what makes our team so great.
That's right.
If it's not coming to Cookeville, we want it to go to Baxter or Monterey or Allgood or somewhere in Putnam County. or one of
White
our
County.
surrounding
Yes, sir.
counties. I think of the Horman project. We had it slated to go to the same property as Portobello is looking at, the old racetrack in Baxter, and we couldn't get a cell tower moved.
Yeah.
We were afraid we were going to lose them, so where do we ask them to start looking? We moved to our neighboring
Neighbor.
county of White County.
That's exactly right.
And I think that speaks volumes of the team that we have put together, that if we can't get them here, we want them in our neighboring county, we want them in our
Stay in the
region,
Upper Cumberland,
we want them
yes, sir.
somewhere around us.
But you know, the sneaky great thing about that is we've been doing this regionalism thing for 12 years now through the Highlands Economic Partnership. And that's been the same story, whether it's been Tandem Muir and Ansel, what is now known as that was once Hydrosera, same situation. HMMI Plastics. You know, whatever project is going on in the region, we want to be a teammate to help make sure that what's good for our local community is also good for everyone around us, and vice versa. If they get success, it helps us. And we want to help out our regional partners as much as possible so that we can grow ourselves.
Absolutely. In the last couple of minutes we've got left, give me your thoughts on what you think the future holds for Putnam County and Cookville.
Yeah. It's a good day to be in Putnam County.
It is.
Not just today, but tomorrow. And yesterday was a great day, and the days before, Randy. So first of all, I want to say thank you for your leadership. Here's what I think the future holds. If we stay focused on the citizens of Putnam County must come first in everything that we do. Are we representing them well with an incentive package? Are we providing them with a return on investment? We will be successful. We still have capacity. I know people have been a little fearful of all the growth. We had pent-up demand, and we still have capacity
Still
going
have capacity to go forward.
Right, in commercial, in retail, and in manufacturing.
Stephen?
Well, you both have seen our Highlands program of work and our target objectives. So you know exactly where we think this community is going to be growing in high-paying, high-wage positions. I'm sitting here behind a seal of Tennessee Tech, and one of the major things that we're trying to do, our core objective as an economic development team, figure out how we can keep our young talent, grow our young talent, and bring some of that talent back here. We've
Keep
seen a
them
lot of
here.
people
That's
come
right.
back to our community, and so our objective is to help grow the per capita personal income, median household, and make sure that we bring the type of positions that can elevate our economy. And as Melinda said, I still do believe there are employment, retail, and other gaps in our economy that we can continue to fill. And we can nerd out over the numbers anytime you want. Come see either of us, and we'll talk about just exactly where we
The
think those
data to
growth
back that
opportunities
up,
are.
right?
Mhm.
Well, both of you are doing a great job for our cities and county, and there's no doubt in my mind we would not be as successful as we are if it hadn't been for your hard work and
Well, thank
dedication
you.
to the
Well,
job.
thank you for
And
your support.
I want to thank both of you. You're a huge part of the team, and I think we've got a great team that we put together in Putnam County, and I think the success shows it. That's our show for today. I want to thank my special guests, Melinda Keifer and Stephen Crook, for being with us today. I hope you will join us every Saturday morning at 10:30 for Today in Putnam County, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. Remember, you can also download the WHUB app and listen to us on your cell phone from anywhere in the world. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter, hoping you have a great rest of your Saturday, and may God continue to bless our great county.